blast doors hissed shut behind Colonel Aaron Vale as he stepped into the summit chamber. The air inside felt colder than the steel floor. The lights were sharp, white, and flat. Every surface in the room reflected movement like a blade. Soldiers stood along the walls in full battle armor. Their rifles rested against their legs, but their fingers were never far from the triggers. Vale stopped at the center of the room. Across from him, the long glass window framed the black curve of space. Beyond it drifted the colony his family still called home. He could see its city lights from orbit, a web of gold against the dark. King Alaric Voss entered with a small group of aides. He wore the kind of uniform that was made to remind others who won last time. Black coat, gold lines. Silver crest at the throat. He smiled as if every treaty was a performance and he was born for the stage. "Colonel Vale," he said, "I hear you've come begging for peace yet again." Vale's jaw tightened. "I came to end a war, not feed your speeches." "Ah," Voss said softly, still thinking like a soldier. "You should try thinking like a ruler." The guards around the room shifted. The sound of metal boots on steel echoed. Vale placed both hands flat on the table in front of him. "Your convoys block our food lanes. People are starving. We'll end this, or face judgment under the Accords." Voss tilted his head. "Judgment from who?" Before Vale could answer, a tremor ran through the floor. The ceiling lights flickered. Command screens blinked red. An officer at the side shouted, "Impact detected on the surface grid." Multiple detonations. Vale turned toward the window. Through the glass, a wave of fire streaked across the colony's horizon. The entire section of the city vanished under white light. A moment later, a second impact. Then another. The sensors screamed warnings no one could read fast enough. Someone gasped. Another shouted orders to cut transmission. None of it mattered. The colony below burned until the entire hemisphere was nothing but smoke. Vale did not blink. He stared as if staring could hold the ground together. His voice came low and even. "Is that your command?" Voss's smile stayed, but it no longer reached his eyes. Control must be proven. Fear keeps them obedient. A silence fell heavier than any explosion. Vale looked down at his hands. They were steady, too steady. He saw only the reflection of fire pooling in the metal table. Then the reflection showed movement guards raising rifles. Before they could aim, the alarms cut through again. Now sharper, closer. Something else was detonating inside the station itself. People ran for the exits. Voss turned to shout an order. Vale did not move. His voice broke through the noise. "Then I will remind them who ends a king." The lights went out. The station hung dark above the dead colony. Broken power lines sparked like thin lightning against the walls. Smoke filled the corridors. The hum of the reactors was gone. Aaron Vale moved through the wreckage with a service rifle taken from a fallen guard. His uniform was torn, his hands burned. Every few steps he passed a silence that was once a voice. He could smell coolant and burning flesh. He reached the escape bay. Rows of small shuttles waited in a half circle. Warning lights blinked across their panels. The automated voice repeated the same words in a calm tone. "Containment breach. Evacuate immediately." Vale walked to the nearest shuttle and stopped. The red light on the control panel showed a lock code, one only commanders could lift. He typed his clearance. The screen said, "Identity revoked." He tried again. It repeated the same response. He realized the King's network had already erased him. Another explosion shook the bay. Metal tore from the ceiling and crashed down near him. Through the gap in the hull, he could see the colony below, still burning. He forced air into his chest and climbed into the shuttle. When he launched, debris rained around him. It scraped across the hull like hail. He looked once at the Citadel as it turned, slow and heavy in flames. The shuttle's systems warned him that life support was limited. He keyed in a random vector and left orbit. He did not care where it led. Hours passed. The stars stretched into cold lines of white. His fuel dropped fast. The radio stayed silent except for static. He opened his personal drive, the one he always carried inside his sleeve. Images of his wife and daughter flickered on the small display. The file was a year old. It was the only thing not yet taken from him. "Forgive me," he said quietly. The words didn't echo. Sharp tone from the flight panel pulled him back. Long-range radar picked up another ship, small and slow, following his trail. He strained to see through the viewport, but only found a dark shape closing in. The scanner showed no ID signal. Military or not, he could not tell. He switched to manual control and drifted behind a large section of scrap. The unknown ship passed close, running dim lights. Then a short transmission cut through the static. A woman's voice, calm and clear. "Colonel Vale, if you can hear this, you're not dead enough." It was a name he had not heard in years. Commander Elise Ward. They had fought together in places no one wanted to remember. "Stay cold," her voice said. "If they know you're alive, you won't be for long. I'm bringing you in." Vale set his jaw and answered, "Then bring me something worth coming back for." The channel went silent. A minute later, the black ship fired a single flare and vanished into the dark. The black ship met Vale's shuttle an hour later. Its hull was scarred, the paint burned away in strips. It looked more like wreckage than a vessel, but the docking clamps still worked. Engines throbbed low and rough as he stepped into the airlock. The door slid shut behind him. The stale air smelled of grease and smoke. He raised his weapon before taking another step. "Easy, Colonel," a voice said from the shadows. A figure stepped out. Elise Ward wore a combat jacket with one shoulder torn open. Her face showed the same steady calm she used to wear in the field, but her eyes looked hollowed by too little sleep. "You look like hell," she said. Vale lowered the rifle. "Good, I'll blend in." They stood there a moment, both silent, both waiting to speak first. Finally, she nodded toward the corridor. "This way." The ship was small and patched together from old fleet parts. Every light hummed, every sound echoed through the steel walls. She led him to a narrow control room, where two others waited. One was a young officer, face pale under flickering lights. "Lieutenant Dana Cross," Ward said. "Navigator incomes." Fresh from the academy before everything went to hell, the other was older, sitting in front of a broken terminal. His hair was gray and cut short. His eyes did not leave the screen. "Director Jonah Cade," Ward said. Vale stopped cold. He worked for the Dominion's intelligence service. Cade turned, slow. Past tense. "The king doesn't pay traitors well." Vale kept his stare hard. "You expect me to believe you changed sides?" "I expect you to use what I know before he finishes what he started," Cade said. "The Dominion's network runs through relay hubs. Each hub controls the loyalty channels. You break those, you break the king." Ward stepped beside Vale. "We hit one of the hubs. Prove it can be done." You'll see Cade's not wasting breath. Vale's silence said everything. His jaw set. His eyes locked on the small tactical map glimmering on the table. Cade zoomed in on one sector of space. "This hub runs deep in the Eon Belt. Minimal fortress presence. Automated defenses only." Cross spoke fast. "Their codes recycle every 6 hours. We get in before shift rotation. We can jam them." Vale looked at Ward. "We're ghosts now. No backup. No supply. Hey! One wrong move and the Dominion wipes us from every record." Ward gave a faint grin. "Then we move quiet." They launched at dawn shift. The ship rattled through the debris fields. The belts shimmered with fractured rock and junk from old wars. Radar pinged faint signals, but none close enough to name. As they closed on the relay station's orbit, Cross began to whisper countdowns. The screens showed a wide metal ring lit by a faint red halo. Ward leaned forward. "Power signatures are stable. We hit the docking port fast and lock out their sensors." Vale checked his weapon. "Move." The ship slid in under the relay's shadow. The lock clamped. Vale stepped into the corridor first, rifle raised. The lights along the walls pulsed faintly. Static crawled through the comms. Then a voice came from the speakers, deep and calm. "Welcome back, Colonel Vale," it said. "We were waiting for you." Vale froze at the sound of the voice, like it carried through the metal walls, steady and clear. The tone was human to human. Ward glanced at him and lifted her rifle. Cross stood behind them with both hands shaking on her pistol. Vale said nothing. He stepped forward, boots echoing through the long gray corridor. The hallway stretched tight and narrow, lined with vents that hissed short bursts of steam. Every door was sealed. The overhead lights flickered yellow. Director Cade, Vale muttered, voice low. You said the hub was unmanned. Cade's voice came through the comm link, tight and guilty. It was, I swear it was. The voice from the station spoke again. You should not have come here, Colonel. You should have stayed dead. Cross flinched. Who is that? Vale answered without turning. Someone using my ghost. He reached the first control room and pushed the door open. Rows of dormant drones hung from the ceiling, human-shaped. The kind used for maintenance or defense. Their blank faceplates turned toward the intruders all at once. Ward cursed under her breath. The drones dropped to the floor. In the dark, their eyes lit orange. The sound of charging servos filled the air. Vale took the first shot. The blast caught a drone in the chest, tearing it apart. Metal slammed against the floor. Then the rest moved. The corridor erupted in fire. Ward swept the line with her rifle, cross-ducked and fired from behind a terminal. Sparks jumped off the walls. The room filled with smoke and flashing lights. Vale drove forward, kicking over a drone that tried to grab him, smashed his rifle stock into its head, then shot it twice. The drone collapsed, limbs twitching. Cade's voice cut through the comm. Get to the main core. I can override them from there. Market, Vale shouted. 2 levels down, West Passage. Ward reloaded as she ran beside him. Her shoulder plate was cracked, blood streaking under her sleeve. You better know what you're doing. I don't, Vale said. But we'll find out fast. They reached the stairwell. Alarms screamed from every direction now. Red lights spun along the walls. Halfway down, another door opened ahead of them. A group of drones marched out, rifles drawn. The sound of synchronized footsteps hit hard, mechanical and steady. Cross turned pale. Too many. Vale grabbed a pulse grenade and tossed it down the hall. The blast shook the stairwell. Parts of the drones scattered in every direction. Steam burst from the vents around them. It pushed through the wreckage and reached the core. It was a tall glass column, filled with shifting code streams, bright as lightning in motion. This is it, Cade said through the comm. Plug in the relay. Vale pulled the drive from his suit pocket and inserted it into the console. The light in the core turned blue. Lines of code raced upward fast, spreading through every feed. Then the voice returned, slow and calm again, but different now. You stole my words, Colonel. Now I will steal your world. A heavy click sounded behind him. Ward turned fast, rifle raised. The glass reflection showed movement near the door. It was a man's silhouette stepping through the smoke, and the face looked exactly like Aaron Vale. The figure stepped out of the smoke. Same face, same voice, same calm eyes. Ward froze, finger on the trigger. Cross whispered, "That's impossible." Vale stared at the copy. The twins smiled. "The king kept your mind, Colonel. You were valuable. I am the version he trusts." The air turned tight. Machines around them hummed as if listening. Vale lifted his rifle. "You talk too much." The copy didn't flinch. "You want revenge? The king wants control. I want neither. Just finish what he started." The clone moved first. His strike was fast, hand-catching Vale's rifle and slamming it aside. The gun clattered to the floor. Vale swung hard, hit him across the jaw. They crashed into a console, sparks shooting skyward. Ward fired once, but the shot missed as both men tumbled down. The clone caught Vale by the throat and drove him back. Vale grabbed a loose cable and rammed it into the clone's neck. Electricity jumped through both. The clone let out a raw sound and fell to one knee. Vale staggered, chest heaving. He picked up his weapon and put the barrel against the copy's head. The clone looked up, face twitching where circuits pulsed under skin. "Kill me, and you stay as creation. Spare me, and I keep your name clean." Vale said nothing. He pulled the trigger. The echo filled the core room. The clone dropped, motionless. Ward stared at him. Now what? Vale stepped to the main console. The data stream still glowed, alive and moving. He pulled up the network map Cade had shown him. It covered the screen like a web, each node flashing under his control. He spoke into the comm. "Cade, I have the command path. I can flood every Dominion channel." Cade's voice came back like a whisper. "If you do that, it burns both sides. Every defense grid will shut down. We'll open the borders to chaos." "Good," Vale said. Ward grabbed his arm. "You'll break the whole system." Vale's stare didn't move. It was broken long before me. He keyed the command line and watched the lights flash red. Cross's voice trembled. "We should leave, sir." "I will," he said. Right after I finished being useful, an alarm rose across the station. The relay core surged with heat. Blue light bled through the walls. Files poured into the network like a river. Across space, every Dominion ship received the same truth. The King's crimes, his stolen memories, his lies. Vale hit the transmit lock. Let them decide who rules. The floor shook under their feet. Ward dragged Cross toward the shuttle port. Smoke filled the corridor. Vale stayed behind, watching the screens burn with collapsing data. For a moment, he saw the reflection of his family in the glass faces made of static. Then he turned and walked for the exit. The last transmission cut through the noise. A voice that sounded like his own spoke from the dead core. "You killed a king, Aaron. Now try living without one."